This game against Florida is the perfect SEC opener for Texas. I'll tell you why on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK, Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. We've got 6 things that I'd love to see from the Longhorns on Saturday, plus a big commitment for Sean Miller and the Texas men's basketball program. But first, I don't think Texas could ask for a more perfect SEC opener than playing at Florida this weekend. And there's a few reasons why. Number one, Florida's not very good. I don't think I'm breaking any news to anyone here. Their record kind of tells the story. The Gators are 1-3 on this season. There's only 2 3-loss teams in the SEC right now. Florida is obviously one of them. The other one just fired their head coach. That's Arkansas. And it also took the Hogs 5 games to pick up their 3rd loss of the season. They're 2-3. Florida sitting at 1-3 right now. Longhorn fans are somewhat aggravated by some of what they've seen during this 3-1 start. And that's fair, but Texas is 3-1. Florida right now is 1-3. The Gators have to run the table the rest of the way to make it to the college football playoff. And have you seen their schedule? Doesn't seem very likely to happen. Texas, as much as the Horns have struggled in certain spots at certain times this year, the Longhorns aren't in that spot. Now, I know Florida's schedule has been tougher than Texas's to this point, but Florida hasn't shown a whole lot to give that fan base confidence that things are about to turn around. A home loss to a directional school in your own state, not good. Losing at LSU and at Miami, on its surface, not that bad, but scoring 17 combined points in those defeats, that's pretty bad. And their head coach, their offensive-minded head coach, he hasn't really given that fan base a lot of confidence that he can be the guy to turn things around. That's not just what we've seen from Florida this year. That's what we've seen from Florida under Billy Napier the last couple of years. And I actually talked to Brandon Olson, the host of Locked On Gators, yesterday. We're going to release our crossover episode tomorrow. He told me there's a good-sized portion of the Florida fan base that is rooting for Florida to lose on Saturday because they want to make sure that they are guaranteed a head coaching change. That doesn't happen with a good team. Like, we kind of went through this with Charlie Strong in 2016, right? Nobody would argue Texas was a good team that year. There were Longhorn fans rooting against Texas in hopes that a change was going to be made at the top. Obviously, a tough predicament to be in as a fan. But the point is, it feels like a lot of Gators fans are more interested in the coaching search or a potential coaching search than they are in winning games this season. That's a very good time to get an opponent. Very good time for Texas right now. We just talked about Arkansas. Look at what Notre Dame just did to Arkansas on the road this past weekend. These aren't apples to apples scenarios necessarily, but Arkansas, a team that was ready for a change. It felt like that program had lost some steam under Sam Pittman. A good ranked team came into town, beat the brakes off of them. Arkansas made a change at the top. I have no idea what Florida's going to do after this game, but you'd love for the Longhorns to do what the Fighting Irish just did this past weekend. Another reason why I think this is a great opportunity for Texas. We've spent some time talking about this week. Texas is about to embark on a pretty unique stretch of 4 straight games away from Austin. And beyond that, the Longhorns have a number of tough games away from DKR going forward. The Oklahoma game, obviously, next week in Dallas, the trip to Lexington, the trip to Starkville, which looks a lot tougher than most people thought going into the year. Obviously, the Georgia game on the road still on the schedule. Like, you want to get some confidence that you can win games away from home in the SEC. If you take care of business against Florida in the Swamp, that should help with that. Texas was 3-0 in true SEC road games last year. They had that big win at Michigan. They obviously beat Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl last year. They were very good away from Austin in 2024, but they've only played one road game so far this season, and things did not go well. The Texas offense specifically really struggled in the Longhorns' only road game of 2025 back in week 1 against Ohio State. They could really use a strong performance. The quarterback in particular, I would love to see him take some of what he did. I'd love to see him take all of what he did against Sam Houston, but at least some of what he did in his most recent game on the road against Florida. Now, it's not going to be easy. Florida's a much tougher defense, but you love to see Arch Manning play with more confidence. You'd love to see that internal belief start to grow more and more. And I think a lot of Arch's struggles early on were mental. Steve Sarkisian said the same thing. Arch Manning echoed the same thing. They all feel like a lot of those early season struggles were up here. You put together a strong performance on the road against a solid secondary. That mental doubt that was creeping in early on, it starts to go away. We all obviously saw Arch playing with more confidence and belief against Sam Houston. Again, you do this on the road in a hostile environment in a conference game, that is going to only increase the level of confidence for Arch Manning, and that doubt is going to move further and further away. Number 3, this kind of goes back to number 1, about Florida just not being a very good team right now. Florida's offense is horrible, and Texas's defense has been really good. You want weakness on strength matchups when your team has the strengths. That's what this is. I mean, Texas has one of the best defenses in college football. I know who they played in week 2 through 4. I also know who they played in week 1 on the road against the number 1 team in the country. The Texas defense did more than enough for the Longhorns to win that game at the Shoe. Texas right now, a top 5 scoring defense, a top 5 total defense, a top 5 rushing defense in all of college football. They're number 1 in the country in the S&P Plus rankings. They're number 1 in the country in the K Ford Power rankings. They're number 2 in defensive FPI and FEI. Like, any way you slice it, you look at the stats, you look at the analytics, the eye test, this defense has been elite. Florida's offense, on the other hand, has been anything but. I know DJ Lagway is a 5-star. We've seen him play this year. He threw 5 picks against LSU a few weeks ago. Then the week after, he threw for just 61 yards against Miami. I know Jaden Ball's a really talented running back, but Florida's offensive line has been horrible. They've given him no holes to run through this year. The Gators 14th out of 16 SEC teams in rushing offense. I know the stud freshman Dallas Wilson is expected to make his Florida debut this Saturday. Well, on top of the Florida offense being bad pretty much everywhere, it's been the absolute worst in Power 4 in terms of vertical passing ability. DJ Lagway is just 1 of 7 on passing attempts 20 yards down the field or further. The 7 attempts account for just 5.7% of his throws this season, which is the lowest rate of all 148 qualifying Division I quarterbacks in 2025. Last year, that was a strength for Lagway and Florida. This year, the deep ball just hasn't been there. They're barely throwing it. And again, 1 for 7 on the year. So Florida's offense has been horrible. Texas's defense has been really good at all 3 levels. And one final thought, Texas is healthy. I know both teams are coming off of a bye, but Texas is the healthier squad going into this game. And the Longhorns are about as healthy as you could possibly be a third of the way into a season. And I'll knock on wood that it continues, but it's kind of insane that Texas is where it is from an injury standpoint. Andre Kojo, who got hurt in the first week of training camp, really the only guy out for Texas. And we're talking about a guy who was probably going to be a backup offensive lineman for this team. So helps to have the bye. And it also helps that Texas kind of had 4 byes in a row with the 3 opponents they had after Ohio State. Time to get Trey Wisner right. Time to get CJ Baxter right. You didn't have to rush Emmett Mosley the 5th back too soon. Cole Hudson should be coming back. Alex January should be back as well. Like, not only are those guys now healthy, you've got a bunch of guys who are fresh. Like, Colin Simmons only played 16 snaps against Sam Houston, and then he had an off week. Anthony Hill, 21 snaps against Sam Houston. Manny Muhammad, 22. Michael Taft, 28. Like, snaps take a toll over the course of a long season. So you're able to get almost a back-to-back bye week like that. And again, in some cases, it felt like 4 in a row for Texas. That helps a lot. Again, I get it. The Gators did not play last Saturday, but they are more banged up than Texas. The Longhorns have the deeper and better roster anyways. So long story short, Florida's bad. Their fan base wants a new coach. Texas is healthy. The Longhorns match up really well in this game. All of those are reasons why I think this is the perfect SEC opener for the Longhorns and why we should be talking about a 1-0 start in conference play when we're doing postgame on Saturday. And if we're not talking about that, I'm sure Florida fans are going to find this video and have a good time with it. So don't let me down, Texas. But I feel really good about this one. And this is an ideal way for Texas to open up league play here in 2025. What say you? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Comment below with your thoughts. All right, more on this Texas-Florida game. I've got 6 things that I want to see from the Longhorns. Not really keys to the game, but 6 things that will make me feel a hell of a lot better about Texas going forward. We'll get to that next right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. They've got more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anybody else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention with how they craft every single model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls, they've got all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, so you can drive with confidence everywhere you go throughout almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because, well, when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. It's Mazda. Move and be moved. And also a shout out to Monarch Money. You know, most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even name what they are worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments. When you don't have the full picture, you end up leaving money on the table. That's a problem. Well, the solution is Monarch Money. This is an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together into one clean, easy-to-use interface right there on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you because they do the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel like you're in control of your money without having to touch a spreadsheet. It's so easy to use. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com, and you're going to get half off your first year. Again, 50% off your first year from our friends at monarchmoney.com. All you have to do is type in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. 6 things I want to see from the Longhorns on Saturday. These aren't really keys to victory. These are just things that would make me feel better about the Longhorns going forward into SEC play. And I think if Texas does these half dozen things, they're going to win Saturday's game pretty easily, number one. But number two, I think they're going to be cooking with bacon grease heading into Red River Week. These are in no particular order, by the way. Number 1, Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons need to be the 2 best players on the field for Texas. We talked about them a little bit yesterday. It's felt like we haven't seen enough from those guys. Again, this Texas defense has been elite, so any sort of criticism on that side of the football feels a little nitpicky, but only 1.5 sacks for Colin Simmons through 4 games. He's got more penalties than sacks so far this year. Anthony Hill only has 16 tackles and 1 TFL through 4 games. Obviously, that's 4 tackles per game and a quarter of a TFL per game. We're talking about a guy in Anthony Hill who had 113 tackles and 8.5 TFLs last season. So he is not anywhere close to that pace so far this year. 2 preseason All-Americans. We know those guys are studs. I expect them to pick up their play. I would love to see that start this Saturday. 2 massive, massive difference makers. 2 guys who can absolutely wreck Florida's offensive game plan. I would love to see, those 2 All-Americans play at that level. That's number 1. Number 2, how about an explosive play from a running back? We have not seen a Texas running back run the football for more than 20 yards on a single carry this year, whether it's Trey Wisner or CJ Baxter or James Simon or anybody. We just haven't seen it. Jarrett Gibson hasn't been there for any of the Texas running backs so far this season. Now, Trey Wisner's back. That's the good news. He's your number one guy. He hasn't played since that Ohio State game. I thought he ran the ball really well against the Buckeyes. C.J. Baxter expected to return for this game as well. That's good news. We've seen some explosiveness from him in the past. But yeah, it's kind of shocking that Texas does not have a running back run of more than 20 yards this year. Matthew Caldwell, your backup quarterback, has the longest carry of the season. And then Arch Manning has, I think, your second and third longest rushes of the season. So need more from your running backs in the run game. Hell, if a running back could turn a screen game into an explosive play, I should say a screen pass into an explosive play, I would take that as well. We just haven't seen enough home run ability from the Texas backfield yet this season. And this is an opportunity for that to change. Florida's got a good defense, but again, we're talking about things that I want to see Texas do to where I can feel more confident about them making a run to Atlanta. Number 3, by the way, Christian Clark. Sorry for forgetting his name. I was like, who's the 5th Texas running back that I didn't say? Of course, throw Christian Clark in that list as well. Number 3, no more than 1 turnover from Arch Manning. Part of me was like, how about 0 turnovers for Arch Manning? And look, that's obviously best case scenario, but I think Texas can win this game if Arch Manning turns the ball over 1 time. And I still think Arch Manning can have a really, really good game, even if he does turn it over 1 time. If we start talking about a crooked number worth of interceptions or an interception and a fumble lost, then all of a sudden things get a little dicey, and that's how you let a lesser talented Florida team hang around for a while and obviously give them a chance at an upset. But no more than 1 turnover from Arch. Be smart with the football. He had a couple of turnovers in the week 1 loss at Ohio State. You want him to look calmer. You want him to look more poised. You want him to look more composed. You just want him to be smarter with the football. The Sam Houston game, Arch's first game of the year where he didn't turn the ball over. Hopefully that's the start of a trend. But again, I think you're okay with 1. And it's when we're talking about multiple where things could get a little dicey. Number 4. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I want a crooked number of takeaways from the Texas defense, right? We've seen Texas do that a lot. They've been very opportunistic in recent weeks. One of the best defenses in the country in pretty much every statistical category. We talked about DJ Lagway's 5 interception game against LSU. I think Texas has a better defense than LSU. I don't know if I'm predicting DJ Lagway to throw 5 picks against the Longhorns on Saturday afternoon, but if that version of DJ Lagway shows up against this Texas defense, there's a chance it could be 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4. Lagway's got more interceptions than touchdowns so far this year. He has been very loose with the ball. And there are times, I went back and watched that LSU game a couple of days ago, and I'm wondering what he was seeing out there. It looked like he was seeing ghosts. Felt like LSU was playing with 12, considering how off DJ Lagway looked. Would love to see the Texas defense do what they've done in recent weeks, more takeaways. And again, I think you've got a chance to do it against the Gators. Number 5, back to the offensive side of the football. Again, these are a half dozen things that I would like to see from the Horns in the Swamp Saturday afternoon. Number 5, I'd love to see Texas get into the end zone at least 3 times. Gave the stat yesterday. Texas is 26-2 since the start of the 2023 season when they scored 21 points or more. Simple math. They get into the end zone 3 times. That means they've got 21. I don't think Florida's offense is scoring 21 against this Texas defense. So I would love to see the Longhorn offense find a way to get into the end zone at least 3 times. Of course, more than that would be better. You can get into the end zone 3 times, maybe kick 2 or 3 field goals as well. You don't have to stop at just 21 points. Hell, maybe the defense can get you a score as well. We wouldn't complain about that. But I'd love to see Arch Manning lead Texas on 3 or more touchdown drives. And then last but not least, number 6, this feels like a waste of time and a waste of breath, but I'm going to say it anyways. A half dozen penalties or less. Can I ask for that? Is that too much to ask for? I know that's below the Longhorn season average this year, but can we get 6 or less? I feel like that's not asking for a lot. Texas had 6 penalties on the road at Ohio State in week 1. That's their fewest penalties in a game this season. So maybe it's a good thing that they're playing on the road because they look more disciplined on the road than they did in the 3 games they just played at DKR. I feel like, look, if I was asking for 2 or 3, that'd be stupid. But 6 or fewer penalties, can we get that, please? Again, it's another one of those things where you're talking about more than that, then you risk potentially letting this game be a lot closer than it should be. But I'll go with 6 penalties or less for Texas and hope that's not too big of a request. So there you go. Again, not really 6 keys. You could kind of spin that into keys to victory, but more so just things that I would love to see from Texas that'll make me feel really good going into Oklahoma Hate Week. All right, we'll take your thoughts. Do you agree with mine? Do you have more? Do you have less? What say you? If you're watching on YouTube, please comment below with your thoughts. All right, we don't talk a ton of basketball on this show this time of the year, but Sean Miller landed his first big high school recruit as the Longhorns head coach. I'll talk about who Texas got and what it means for the future in a quick final segment coming up next right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at FanDuel. Of course, the NFL season is in full swing, and our friends at FanDuel have an offer that you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If that bet hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, just like that. FanDuel makes watching football so much more exciting. Every Thursday, every Sunday, every Monday, whether you're a casual fan or if you love diving into all of the numbers, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. This is a great opportunity. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started with our friends at FanDuel. And a shout out to our friends at Square as well. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood special. The places that become an extension of your home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town, or that beloved local chain that has been rooted in the community for years. These are the businesses that bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Some great local spots here in Austin run on Square. I've talked about the Mossies a lot. One of my favorite places to go. Unbelievable Mediterranean cuisine. A couple of locations, the one down south a little closer to me. I love it. A local spot feels like the neighborhood, feels like home. I love supporting local businesses. As this city gets bigger, more and more chains love supporting local, and Square is all about that as well because they are a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, make sure you support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. It's Square. See you in the neighborhood. All right, final segment of a Wednesday edition, Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. A quick break from the football conversation. Let's talk a little Texas hoops, shall we? Yesterday afternoon, Texas men's basketball picked up a commitment from 4-star wing Bo Ogden from right here in Austin. He plays his high school ball at Westlake. Of course, Westlake, a school normally known for its football, but Westlake has been a pretty favorable recruiting ground for Texas basketball as well. Chris Mim, Brad Buckman, Brock Cunningham, Will Baker, just a few former Westlake Chaps who played for the Horns. Now you add Bo Ogden to that list. Ogden is the 37th ranked player overall in the class of 2026 and the 4th ranked player here in the state of Texas. He actually spent the first 3 years of his high school career playing at St. Michael's. So he's about to embark on his first year at Westlake. Started at St. Michael's, a private school here in town. Ogden averaged 15 points per game over his first 3 years of his high school career. And on top of that, this past season, Ogden helped lead St. Michael's to the 6A TAPS state championship. And when I say he helped lead them to a state championship, I mean he hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer to win his high school team the state championship. You're looking for that clutch gene? Yeah, he's got it. Bo Ogden, 6'5", just shy of 200 pounds. His best skill, his shooting ability. This past summer on the Adidas circuit, Ogden averaged 20.9 points per game, ranking 9th out of everybody who was involved. He shot an eye-popping 52.8% from three, making 3.5 three-pointers per game. How about that? 53% from downtown. That'll work. Also made 86% of his free throw attempts as well. That's translatable. That's a thing that a lot of scouts look at when a guy's taking a shot from high school to college or college to the NBA. Not only do they look at the three-point percentages, they look at the free throw percentages as well. Bo Ogden, just a great shooter anywhere on the court. Took over 7 threes per game, 58% when he was unguarded too. So with those clean looks, he is a knockdown shooter. He likes to shoot, and he should, because he's very good at that. And I think he's going to be a perfect fit for Sean Miller's system. We're talking about a tall guard here with elite shooting skills. He's a high effort, high energy player, son of a coach, literally. He's got a smooth stroke. It's going to work well in an offense that prioritizes fast breaks and consistent movement in behind open shooters. Can never have enough shooters. That's been a huge problem with Longhorn basketball for a long time. Almost wish Ogden could play this coming season. Obviously, has one more year of high school ball left before he can get to Texas. But love this pickup for Sean Miller. And hey, Bo Ogden had some big offers. He chose Texas over Tennessee and Purdue. Those were the other 2 finalists. Kansas also offered him as well. And look, maybe I'm burying the lead here. Maybe I should have started with this, but if that Ogden name sounds familiar, it should. Bo Ogden's dad, Chris, was a member of Texas's 2003 Final Four team, and he's also the current GM of the Texas basketball team. So he was retained by Rodney Terry's staff by Sean Miller. Good move right there. I think there's a good chance Chris Ogden would have been retained either way, but having a 4-star son who was going into his last year of high school ball didn't hurt Augie's chances of staying on the staff. Augie's a great dude. He's done a tremendous job. He's one of the better recruiters in the country, one of the more well-respected coaches in the country as well. But there's no doubt having Pops on staff definitely helped with Bo Ogden's recruitment. And the fact that he grew up in Austin as a Longhorn fan doesn't hurt either. So if we're being honest, this was probably the easiest recruitment Sean Miller has ever had and will ever have as the head coach at Texas. But hey, he still had to win against some very good programs and some very talented head coach to get this done. And I will say this, Bo Ogden said at his commitment ceremony yesterday that his relationship with Sean Miller was the biggest reason why he chose Texas. Look, Chris Ogden was coached by Rick Barnes when Barnes was at Texas. So Augie could have said, hey, I know this guy's a great coach. I've never worked with Sean Miller before. You should go play for him. It sounds like Chris Ogden didn't do that, but Bo Ogden says this decision was made by him and him alone. So shout out to Bo. Shout out to Sean Miller. I can't wait for Texas basketball. Locked into football. That's going to dominate the conversation here for a while on Locked On Longhorns, but I'm excited for the Sean Miller era of Texas hoops. And the season starts just 34 days from now. How about Texas versus Duke? Oh, yeah, don't forget about that. Texas versus Duke. It's a neutral site game, but it's in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a road game for the Longhorns. What a way to open things up, and what an opportunity for Coach Miller to make a huge statement in game 1 of year 1 at Texas. So there you go. Good basketball news. The first commit for Texas in the class of 2026 is a good one. That's going to do it for today's show. If you made it this far, number 1, thank you very much. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a comment, all of those great things. Really do appreciate y'all's continued support of what we're building here on Locked On Longhorns. For your next listen, check out Locked On Bets. Lee Sterling, Kevin Rogers, they've got you covered with all of your sports betting needs, game picks, expert analysis, and the lock of the day every single day. Find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. The crossover episode with Brandon Olson, the host of Locked On Gators, is coming up tomorrow. We'll get the away team's perspective, or I should say, you know what? I'm done here. I'm running myself into a jam. The Gators' perspective of this matchup coming up tomorrow. I'm doing a horrible job here, so I'm just going to leave. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Until next time, horns up, mics off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.